Let me show you how to tie a balanced fly. This is one of my best performing flies of 2024. You'll want to dress a size 14 hook. I like these jig hooks. Make sure to trim your tag end. I've got a 3.3 tungsten bead. Make sure to do the countersink with the pin towards the pinhead to swallow the pinhead. Then we just want to wrap that pin on. Just get it tight, wrap up and down it every which way, and make sure to get it locked in. One thing to keep note of is that once you get it started, you want to be no more than 2 beads from the face of here to the eyelet, so I'm usually about 1.5 beads. And when you're doing your wrapping, make sure to pull some figure eights in there to really lock that pin onto the eyelet and get the bead locked up on the head. Next step is to peel off some marabou. Try not to make it more than 1.5 times the length from the bead to the fly, so when I put that on there, that fly is going to get maybe twice as long as all. Make sure to position your thread on the center to get started. Okay, now we're just going to get that marabou locked in nice and good. I do like kind of a loose wrapper too. Then I like to grab it and pull it all up and just position it so it'll splay out on the tail like that. Once it's in position, do a couple more tight wrappings over and under on the marabou, and then trim this off. Get in here and cut that right off. Okay, we'll kind of smooth that down. If your thread is getting twisted, rotate it in a counterclockwise and it will get flatter. I'm using the Semperfli 100D Nano Silk. There's the face of the thread. I like using blue ice wing, and I'll show you how that hooks into the tail. So we're just going to twist some of this together and then wrap it around the thread where it hangs. That'll give us the ability to pull it back up into that tail, and then we can kind of comb it back out and thin it out afterwards. We'll just get it all tied in like that, and then if you have any large clumps, you can just kind of pull on them and it'll pull it down into that tail like so. So for the next step, we're just going to use some black ice wing and some of that blue tinsel, and we're just going to pull all the fibers until they look horizontal-ish looking, and that's what we're going to put in our dubbing loop. Now, to make it work right, you've got to also put in about that much hair dubbing, just some black rabbit general hare's ear dubbing. Okay, so I mixed that hare's ear, and you can see the mixture got a little bit thicker. You just keep pulling it and pulling it until it aligns. Without the rabbit hair in there, it just doesn't, it's not as thick and it doesn't stay in the dubbing loop as good when the trout are pounding on it. Alright, now we're just going to form a little dubbing loop. Got the thread coming off to 2 fingers. We'll drop it up and we'll wrap that loop close up to the tail. Come around the back side at least once, and then wrap it up by the tail and let this sit up by the head. We'll want to throw a whip finish on that too before we get started. So on these Renzetti vices, I like using this little guy, this little Umpqua tool, and I'll put part of my loop on the set screw, and then I'm just going to hook this into the loop. So that way it holds the loop open. You can kind of see it's just hanging there like that, and it won't spin or tighten up on you. Okay, and we'll just do one simple whip finish, so if the thread comes off, it doesn't untie anything or give us grief while we're tying up that dubbing loop. Alright, now the fly's sitting over on the bobbin there, and we're going to fill this dubbing loop up with our mixture. So we're just going to take and drop it in there and scoot it up. Rotate that out of the way, and then we're just going to make it nice and super sparse like that and get it close to the fly. So that's all we've got going on there. Okay, and now we're just going to spin that dubbing loop. I'll put one finger under it and give it a quick little rotate, and you can see it's going to make our mixture to wrap the fly with. The next step, I like to brush these out and just get it so there's not any thick spots. It can be kind of longer back by the tail, but I want to try and make it look consistent. And if some of it's too long, you can give it a little bit of a haircut over here on the side. That's part of the creative licensing. You'll figure out how you like them to look. But for now, let's rotate this loop. So I'm going to bring it around, and after one turn, I'll just keep pulling this back with it. Just keep pulling it back towards the tail every time we come around, and just keep that nice and straggly look going. Super important. We'll get this, and then once you get to that eyelet, we'll come up through. If you ever run out of dubbing, it's okay. You can always redub right there. And now all we've got to do is whip finish and cut that off. Alright, here we come around. So before I cut that off, we're going to make sure and figure 8 around that string, couple in front, couple back behind it. Now we'll whip finish up at that head. I'm an over whip finisher, so I like to have a lot of them. That way I don't have to use glue, but we'll throw a couple on there. We'll give that a little bit of a trim there. I think my scissors have gone dull. That's not good. Then I'm just going to build that neck up a little bit more with a couple more turns. And feel free to put a little extra dubbing in there. I like it to just kind of have a little bit of a taper right there, and really pull that line down so you can feel it suck in back behind that head. And it's a good opportunity to grab any stragglers you don't like to and wrap them in. I like it to just get down into there real nice and tight, and then we'll trim that. Get right up to that. There we go. Okay, the only thing left now is to give it a haircut or hairbrush. So I usually brush it down and up and back, and then fold it back and look for the right amount of bugginess. And then I usually give her a little bit of a haircut. So I taper away from the head in all angles like that, and just keep the head as clean and clear as you can. And I've done really well with this fly. We've caught a lot of fish with it, and seems to really bring the trout in. Thanks for watching, and then I guess those of you guys that stayed that long, I'll show you. I'm starting to fill this box up. You can see a couple of the different patterns that I've been working on catching fish, and you'll notice that that purple one up here, it doesn't have a marabou tail, so you can tie them with and without the tail, and they'll have different effects in the water. So anyways, thanks for watching.